Okay, I need to start this video with a bit of a clarification. Just because you see a random fat guy on an F1 team's feed does not mean you have to DM me on Instagram to ask if that is me or not. Right, we clear on that? Okay, good. Right, roll on the intro. I'm going back to my subway.
That's rude.
Hey there guys, I'm Will and welcome to the Comedy Review, the show that ruined my life faster than Jack Doohan. Sorry, I'll just take any excuse to use that these days. It's also the show where we talk about things that happen in motorsport. Things like this. Lando Norris bottles quantum tunneling, James Vowles' software update allows him to point and wave, and the F1 kids fly towards a populated city. Hang on, I feel like I've seen this one somewhere before. It's the end of a triple header. We also had the 500 last week. In other words, I'm f***ing tired. So we start here. Thankfully, the short stop after Monaco doesn't provide the biggest opportunity for breaking news. Besides, people were too busy complaining about how that was. Social media was thus drowning in ways we could make the spectacle better. Most solutions ending up looking something like this. GPDHM and Alex Wurz was one of the more level-headed and qualified to have their say, seen here with his favourite stick suggesting cars should just drive into the sea. Despite Alex not having discovered screen recording software, these changes have been widely welcomed by the fans. So, will they happen? Well, of course not. How can we deprive the FIA of their bedtime stories, you cretins? Elsewhere in the news, rumours of a divide between Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari have continued to swell after the British driver was left on red at the culmination of the Monaco Grand Prix, and after I fancy getting a little bit more traffic over onto this video. It's no secret that this partnership of the ages hasn't got off to the best of starts, and Ferrari can't really fork up the amount to pay Hamilton out of his multi-year contract. Thus, they devised an alternative plan to make #Bless leave on his own accord, as Christian Horner was suddenly tipped to move to the Scuderia. We also have an update on the Audi project. Apparently they're going to win in 5 years, which is probably the funniest thing you'll hear in this entire video. Oh, never mind, Alpine are challenging for titles in 2. Finally then, we also had the new F1 game drop this week, and to celebrate, Sauber decided to run a new livery called Glitched Out. I really shouldn't make that joke now I'm affiliated with EA, but oh well, f*** it, it's too late now. Elsewhere on Livery Watch, McLaren just forgot to revert to their old look, and so we're running their Monaco throwback design again here this weekend. Speaking of, let's get to FP1. Monaco may well be in the rearview mirror, but traffic problems appeared to have stuck with the paddock heading into opening practice. Isaac Hadjar getting revenge on the Ferraris for last week, before Charles Leclerc hit back by terrorising Liam Lawson again.
What was that?
That's an F1 car, Liam. To be fair, you don't see many of those when you're half a lap down in 19th. We'd have a few rookies joining the grid for this opening session. Ryo Hirakawa was wheeled out of the mortuary to test out the off-road characteristics of the Haas, while over at Williams, Victor Martins was in the car. What a momentous day for the Grove outfit, who appeared to have signed a new sponsorship deal with Crack, commemorating what Claire Williams was on when she signed up Lance Stroll 8 years ago. Ex-Williams star Franco Colapinto was continuing his rough reacclimatisation to the sport, being so slow in opening practice the TV director briefly mistook him for Jack Doohan. Now all that aside, of course the real big story hitting the track this week was the implementation of new front wing tests aimed at reducing the flexi-wing phenomenon, or catering to Red Bull depending on which team you support apparently. F1 themselves got Sam Collins to touch up one of their show cars to explain the new rules. Speaking of, it must be Craig Slater's week off or something. I'm surprised he's not been found attempting to use the MCL 39 as a trampoline. On a serious note though, this was expected to be the start of the downfall of McLaren. The team clearly crippled when Lando Norris entered the session on top form. Oscar Piastri would then resume that position in FP2 as the track hotted up, and Sauber revealed their first step to winning races in 5 years was giving Nico Hülkenberg a little push out of the pit lane. Teammate Gabriel Bortoleto has apparently switched allegiances in the last week, the Senna fanboy now on Team Verstappen, catching heat in Monaco for threatening to put a Mercedes driver in the wall, then straight up copying the Dutchman's lines on Friday afternoon, though I wouldn't really be emulating this one. Hey, I can't really talk here, Bortoleto is to Verstappen as I am to rocket-powered Mohawk. Ollie Behrman, meanwhile, made sure to learn from Reserve Hirakawa in practice, pulling a fascinating disappearing act in the first sector, one that he only wished he could replicate when he got back to the paddock. Home hero Fernando Alonso wasn't necessarily the happiest man out there either, the Spaniard getting pissed at Hamilton for apparently existing, then laying out some ominous threats about the championship being very long. Well done, Fernando, that's right. So in this very long championship, how many points have you scored so far? Oh yeah, that's right. I don't want to sound like I'm overly defending Hamilton here. Just to clarify on this channel, we like to offend everybody equally. #Bless, there's enough people behind him anyway. One of which actually happening to be our ex-Bell End of the Week. So I did it. Be proud of me, because I found a bellend that isn't a McLaren fan. This one actually harks back to qualifying last week, where Hamilton was awarded a 3-place grid penalty for impeding Max Verstappen, prompting Cal's LFC to say this. The only explanation for this is racism, because this happened in Q1 and Max wasn't affected whatsoever. They just wanted any reason to ruin Lewis's weekend. Absolute joke of a penalty. You know what, I was trying to work out what the LFC stands for in Cal's name, but I think I've got it. How about, let's f***ing cry. Also, it's affected, you f***ing idiot. There was a mixture of responses to this one. Some tried reasoning with the bellend, which went about as well as you might expect. Others tried reinforcing my earlier sentiments. Well then, long live racism that's outrageous. And then there were just people who responded with actual racism, which I obviously don't condone whatsoever. That aside, big thanks to these guys for pointing this one out to me, and if you'd like to nominate the next ex-bellend of the week, use the hashtag on screen, tag me on the platform, or join our Discord server. Now, this is usually where I cut to an outrageous tweet I'd found, but I'm trying to avoid Doctor Who spoilers at the moment, so I'm just going to awkwardly cut back to Saturday. FP3 then, and McLaren were super compromised this time, so compromised they entered the session 1-2 despite Norris momentarily forgetting what way the track went. Oscar Piastri would be on top yet again, while over at Ferrari things weren't so positive. Hamilton having a nightmare of a session, ending it down in 9th with shifting problems. Hey, maybe his gearbox is racist too. Red Bull appeared instead to be Team Papaya's closest challenger. Well, I should probably rephrase that. Max Verstappen appeared instead to be Team Papaya's closest challenger. Yuki was down in 14th. There really wasn't a whole lot going on in this final practice hour, so the drivers took it upon themselves to make things a little more interesting. Alex Albon, having sat out FP1, decided only to compete 5 laps on Saturday morning, while Fernando Alonso was seen attempting the no-hands challenge late in the session. Let's just get to qualifying then. Q1 ending with Franco Colapinto on the bubble, the Argentine finding a clever way to stop anyone improving their lap time, just by blocking the pit exit. As he got naughty with his Alpine, Yuki Tsunoda was out there claiming he was on the lap of his life. Such a good lap, in fact, it was only good enough for P20. Rumour is Isaac Hadjar has locked himself inside his Racing Bulls motorhome. The shock exits wouldn't end there though. Carlos Sainz clearly not taking enough crack to get out of the opening session. As he went off to find his shotgun, we got ready for Q2. That would mark the end of the other Williams driver, Alex Albon feeling disgruntled by the House of Bearman, so much it forced him to trudge back home, making offensive impressions of Asian people. Hadjar, meanwhile, will be the star of the show yet again, getting his V-carb into 6th. No real surprises. I want to watch Doctor Who. Let's just move on. Q3 then, and Oscar Piastri would initially top the times, but in doing so allowing Norris the chance to use his teammate for a tow, seemingly the only way to be faster than the Australian nowadays. As they all dived into the pits for fresh tyres, Fernando Alonso used the clear track to attempt a parade lap. Oh, sorry, actually that was a qualifying effort, it's kinda hard to tell when you're in an Aston Martin. That would only be good enough for 10th in the end. Elsewhere, Charles Leclerc was seen getting out of his car, apparently happy with 4th for some reason. Either that or managing 2 cars in the final part of Q3 is a bit too much for Ferrari to handle right now. Lewis Hamilton would cross the line then to go a miraculous P3. We'll ignore the fact that he was half a second off the McLarens, and that he proceeded to drop like a f***ing stone after, but nevertheless Lewis, well done. As I hinted at then, there was really no stopping the pair of papaya machines. Piastri coming across the line to set an imperious lap. Norris meanwhile should have been able to challenge, although chose to swap his car for a Sainsbury's shopping trolley on his final run. Yet another botched lap in Q3, and while it didn't knock him off the front row this time, it still deserves a place on the bottle counter regardless. Oscar Piastri would thus lead the field to green on Sunday, though before we could get to that, it was breaking news from the Aston Martin camp. Special withdrawing from the Grand Prix because his wrist hurts. That's a shame, who's going to score all their points now? This apparently all relates back to when Stroll showed he had the same prowess on 2 wheels as he had on 4 back in the 2023 preseason, opting to tell the team now of all times, meaning reserve driver Felipe Drugovich won't be able to step in, and yep, I think he's just gone and shot himself. Oh, and I should add, this apparently has nothing to do with the Canadian, quote, getting upset after qualifying according to the team, or according to others around the paddock, swearing at crew members, smashing up equipment, and being an intolerant arsehole, just in case you need reason number 5743 to hate on Special. So as Fernando Alonso pulled weird faces and greeted the crowd with a multicultural salute, we got ready for lights out around the circuit Barcelona-Catalunya. Oscar would show Lando what the perfect start looked like, Norris deciding he needed to drop all the way back behind Verstappen to get the best look. Just kidding, that's bottle number 17. Slightly further back, George Russell got murked with a pair of Ferraris, and Alex Albon was welcomed back to the midfield with open arms as they mutilated his front wing. Verstappen getting into second gave us a thrilling battle to look forward to as Norris began to close up till, never mind, the Dutchman's just let him through. That was okay. The pair of Ferraris were squabbling instead, and their pit wall was sat on a 5-lap delay, so at least we were treated to a bit of fun before they popped over the radio to politely tell #blessed to move the f*** out of the way. Honestly, how racist of them. Next up, we can tune into an episode of Alzheimer's Watch as Fernando Alonso was caught dreaming of retirement beaches and so ended up driving into one on lap 14. This seemed to wake the Spaniard up somewhat as he began to go toe-to-toe with compatriot Sainz and battled his way back up to the fringes of the top 10. Also trying to do that was Alex Albon, until he discovered Liam Lawson had the spatial awareness of a Make-A-Wish kid in a bumper car and broke front wing number 2. At this point, Williams retired the tie from fear of James Vowles' mental health. Lawson was on a bit of a warpath in this one, proceeding to show Ollie Behrman what Turn 1's escape road looks like. In the meantime, the leaders were beginning to come into the pits. The McLarens were sticking to their predicted 2-stop, while Verstappen was treating his tyres like his dad treated him as a child. That forced the Dutchman onto a 3-stop strategy, but still left him close to Norris as we got into the closing stages because of Lando Norris reasons, I guess. That got even more exciting on lap 52 when the lap cars ahead of Lawson and Behrman decided to try and kill each other down into Turn 1, holding up the McLaren and in the process Lawson becoming the most useful teammate to Verstappen this year so far. As Behrman proceeded to ruin this advantage, it looked as if this rather unexciting race was going to stay rather unexciting till the flag. What we really needed was a safety car. Oh, cheers Antonelli. With the Italians' Mercedes identifying as a steam engine then, the front runners would all pit for fresh rubber. Red Bull proceeding to themselves as they realised all they had in the back was a set of hard compound tyres. Rumour has it, someone on the pit wall then accidentally knocked out the power to Max Verstappen's team radio. Piastri's advantage over Norris would also be reduced to nothing, so as we got ready for a 6-lap sprint to the end, the Aussie was right on the defence. Verstappen was in a similar boat, and needed to be after navigating the final corner perpendicular to the circuit. Leclerc thus made it past, Max giving up P3, and in doing so forgetting how straights were because he drifted into the side of the Ferrari, karma striking back instantly as Russell barged his way past down at Turn 1. That made the Dutchman even more displeased, Red Bull taking this moment to suggest he gives the spot back to the Mercedes, which in fairness he technically did, before attempting to assassinate George Russell. With Nico Rosberg screaming for a black flag and Verstappen fans likely providing our next X-Bellend of the week, here's a racist Nico Hülkenberg passing Lewis Hamilton for 6th. No issues for Oscar Piastri however, the Australian holding off teammate Norris to take his 5th win of the season, and Charles Leclerc rounding out the podium. Shoutouts for this one, of course, go to Hülkenberg, who by some miracle took home 5th, Alonso for going from Alzheimer's Watch to his first points in the season, and Max Verstappen, who got driver of the day for attempted murder. He ended up with a 10-second penalty for the crash, in a race that I'm not going to lie, was pretty crap until that point. The ending considered though, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Let me know your ratings down in the comments below. IndyCar comes next, and I've got a feeling we're due another Stroll video at this point too, so plenty more content to come. And if you've enjoyed this one, then drop it a like and get subscribed for coverage throughout the 2025 season. Massive thank you to the members and patrons as well. They got an exclusive comedy review of the Weenie 500 earlier this week, plus early access to this one, and you got loads more content to check out there as well, so if that sounds interesting to you, or you just want to help support me and the channel, then head over to the links in the description below. Now I think I'm going to wrap up this video by honouring this post from the official Formula 2 X accounts. These three kept it nice and cool out there today, creaming the field to stand on the podium. Lindblad is literally 17, you f***ing pedo.